And that is a very important point, because if you remember that Desmond was talking about the effect, how vulnerable are we? How can we manage this process? And the only way to manage this process is to have the appropriate skills, appropriate knowledge, appropriate technology, the funding that will make us to get there. So that are some of the things that we are putting on the table. The other point that we are putting on the table is the fact that, yes, countries have been asked to come up with their intended document, which to me is what I would describe as work in progress. As of now, an average possible what we can get is from almost about 170 or whatever report that we have, is an average of about 3 degrees. We are also working towards that. So which means if we are talking about 2 and the average you have is 3, then we have a lot of process to go to. And that means again the implications of this. So in short, Nigerian position and African position is that it is not a holiday. It is a serious affair. It is not business as usual. We must know where we stand. For instance, in Nigeria, don't forget that the issue that we are even talking about, fossil fuel, a major source of income is petrol. And also the frying of the gas, and somebody is now telling us this is what we should do, this is what we need to get it right. And these are some of the challenges that we need to face. We need to make sure that it's not just a talking. How does it affect us?
Yes, because some people would say...
So even within the context of African position, there's a Nigerian view. And that is why for instance, let me give you one simple example. You may find out that while you are talking, your own definition of support might not be my own definition of support. And in some cases, you may find out that for instance, if you take the issue of loss and damage, which is very critical, if you know the story of what has happened in a place like Southeast Asia with hurricane and so on. And it will happen here. We have seen a series of disasters, which means if this happens, our insurance industry, are they ready? Are they competent to meet up these challenges? So these are some of the things that we on our own are addressing. And we believe that if we're going to get it, what is Nigerian position? And also don't forget, Nigeria plays a key role in this to a stage that we even have within the Nigerian team what you call the concept of a diplomatic moving around to make sure that things are done right. Most things are done outside the table. So if something is to be done outside the table, you must make sure you are there. So at the end of the day, the core responsibility we have is how do we fit into the whole process. Nigeria is just one of the countries in Africa, but Nigeria is a major country in Africa. Like I've said some few weeks ago, if you take Lagos State is about 3 or 4 times some states in Africa. So which means what concerns Lagos, not to talk about Nigeria. So Nigeria issue, as far as we are concerned, is a serious issue, and Nigeria is at the forefront of ensuring that the African position is well secured. My colleagues are already there. We are doing what you call we don't want to be shortchanged. So for the past 1 week, there has been a lot of movement with regional meetings. We are there, we want to make sure what is happening and so on. So we feel very serious about that, and there are no two ways to it.
Okay, well, Desmond, thank you, Mr. Ferdinand, for the things you've put forward. One of the things, renewable energy, that's one of the things you've always preached about.
Absolutely.
Now, but many have called for the removal of subsidy, to bring it back home now. How best can this be approached so that we remove subsidy, renewable energy, and so that we can be better positioned on the global stage?
Well, the reality of the situation has to sink in. And this is part of the problem. There's a little bit of a blind spot globally about this climate change, global warming. Yeah, it's a problem that we can deal with. But what are we talking about? We're talking about compromising the environment, the ecosystems. And what is the ecosystem? The ecosystem, another name for the ecosystem, another name for the environment is the life support system of humanity. The God in His infinite mercy and wisdom has created a perfect system that gives us life support. Okay? There's nobody in this room that can hold their breath for 5 minutes. Why can't you hold your breath for 5 minutes? It's, you know, logical. You need oxygen. Where does the oxygen come from? It comes from the environment, from the photosynthesis process, from the green leaves, let alone the water, let alone the food. So, you know, the environment is our life support system. We're talking about climate. You know, these words sound very funny, but at the end of the day, it's our life support system which is being compromised. Uncle is talking about degrees of warming that is going. If you see the projections for just 2 degrees extra warming, planet Earth has gone 1 degree above her average temperature. Already it's causing problems. 2 degrees, if you see the projections for that, do you know that Lagos is already beginning to be underwater?
Yes, you've talked about ocean rise earlier, and Iponwasa here is concerned about the land reclamation exercise in Lagos.
yeah, land reclamation, it's all these things, when they're done irresponsibly, it's very, very damaging, very, very harmful. But we have to see the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that our life support systems, things like land reclamation, if it's done wrong, you compromise people's safety. You compromise, like the bridges on Kauri Creek in Lagos, they were compromised because of the reclamation, excavation that was done from the lagoon. And it compromised the systems that the bridges were built on. But, you know, why I was saying that we need to look at it in the perspective and see how important it is. Once you realize that our life support systems are being compromised, then there's nothing that is too big. There's no sacrifice that's too much that you have to take to ensure those life support systems are stabilized. Because it's not just us. Yeah. We're talking about life support systems for our children.
Yes, we have
to.
So, if you have to add anything, you know, like he's the lead negotiator, if you have to add anything for him to put on his list, what would it be?
Okay, it would be that, well, all over the world now, people are determined to take their destiny in their own hands. Just last year, we had the first edition of the People's Climate March. Because over the years, like you said, for over 2 decades, negotiations have always failed. And we can't sit back and keep watching and commit the destiny of the planet and you know, in the hands of politicians, corporate world, and all that. So the people are taking the future in their own hands. And we're having in Lagos also, like other countries, over 5,000 places all over the world, we're having a massive people mobilization on Monday, where we're calling everybody to come, and because we're making a demand for world governments as they meet in Paris to make this agreement a binding one, because over the years it's not been binding, it's just like an agreement, and at the end of the day it's not implemented. So we want a binding agreement this time, that countries, as they are making pledges to reduce carbon emission, they would stand by those pledges. So the people are concerned about it. It's about our future, it's about the future of our children, and so we're making this.
When's the march?
It's on Monday. It's on Monday, Monday 30th, beginning from Ikeja local government. We're moving straight through the Awolowo Road to the governor's office by 9 a.m.
Thank you so much. We need to wind now.
Let me just quickly make a point from what Desmond has mentioned. You see, we need to appreciate that one of the key global challenge of climate change is trying to balance the target of development. And this is where the issue of sustainable development has come in. And like I did mention before, the series of meetings you had this year was the acceptance of the 17 development goals.
Very encouraging.
And the idea is that after Paris, we now need to look at the 17 sustainable development goals, along with the whole concept of what we are looking at, and see how we can achieve a sustainable environment
for Nigeria. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. We've been speaking with the lead climate change negotiator, Mr. Lekan Fadina. Thank you for being here. And of course, the President, Climate Aid, Oluwatosin Kolawole. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Desmond Majekodomi, the evangelist, I call
he's
him.
gonna be an evangelist.
Be at the march. You are
Thank
part
you.
of the problem or part of the solution. Join the march on Monday.
Thank you for being here. Sunrise will take a break. Just stay with us on the program.